Hi, friends. Welcome back to Live at the Roxy on this Tuesday, February 13th. Oh, happy Valentine's Day, girlies, boys, peeps. Uh, happy almost Valentine's Day, depending on where you are in the world, or maybe already happy Valentine's Day. Lover, love, shipper, ships, single lady, still obsessed with people's relationships because happy for anybody who's in love. Not what we're talking about today, though. A bunch of different things that I wanted to talk about and haven't done a later stream in a little bit. So I wanted to make sure I'm speaking to those of you guys who work in the daytimes or on different coasts or whatever. Make sure that you guys were able to join tonight. So thank you for being here with me. I want to talk a little bit about something that came out today, which you guys may or may not be paying attention to, which is the AI case that was brought to a judge that partially was dismissed today, that was backed by a lot of different authors, including Sarah Silverman. It was a class action lawsuit, and we will speak a little bit about that. I know that Sarah Silverman is a little of a hot topic right now, because I was debating even putting her in my thumbnail, because I feel like no matter what I do right now, everybody calls me a genocide rooting racist fuck. Which I don't mean to laugh, but it's just like they clearly don't watch my show or know what my politics or point of view on what's going on is. So they just have made up their mind about me to something that is completely a lie. So I don't even know how to combat something I don't believe that. So whatever. But anyway, I know Sarah Silverman has not spoken perfectly during this time. There's a lot of people who have not spoken perfectly during this time, no matter what group of people they've spoken about. Sarah Silverman, Susan Sarandon, Melissa Barrera. There's a lot of people who have said things tonight or yesterday with Selma Blair. Some people are not speaking perfectly during this time. But this has nothing to do with what is going on in the Middle East. This has to do with AI. And so she seems to be one of the main people leading the charge. I've been a huge fan of Sarah Silverman in the past. She's a perfect person? No, as she is often criticized for also previously doing many things that people do not like and are bad. But when it comes to the Jewish community, I'm really grateful for her voice. She is willing to speak on topics that not a lot of people are willing to speak about. Anyway, again, not the point of this conversation, just saying that she is a very prominent figure in this fight against AI, or not against AI, but more so to figure out what the next step of AI is in terms of artists and authors, what they get paid for, what they don't. There's this class action lawsuit. Ta-Nehisi Coates is also part of it, and it seems like tonight was a step back. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. And also I wanted to talk to you guys about, there's a bunch of different TV shows that I'm watching because I would need to do some good entertainment news, because we can't just keep trashing. I saw Madam Web. I didn't put that in the thumbnail again because behind the scenes, you guys know I don't love reviewing movies that I didn't love, because I don't ever want to spend my time shredding anybody's art. But I did see the movie, and I will talk a little bit about it, take any of your questions on it. Also, there's a new lawsuit against Russell Simmons, and whatever it is else that is on your guys' mind. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, super chat in. Thank you to everybody who's here already at the top of the show. I appreciate you guys being here. Lloyd, ZB, George, Jay, Jeremy, First Stop, Mild Manner, Comic Nerd, all of you guys. Thank you. Appreciate you all. If you want the show to continue like you have so far for the last few years, the only way to do it as of right now, we are completely fan funded. So thank you guys so much for supporting the show and for allowing me to be here. The only reason I'm able to be here is because of you guys. So thank you for all of the support that you send over in the Streamlabs and the super chat. Just as a quick reminder, creators tend to prefer Streamlabs because YouTube takes about 50%. As we are doing taxes for this year, I am seeing that it's as true as ever that YouTube took about 50% of my super chats and earnings from last year. Stick it to the man, give it to Streamlabs, and said that is how the majority of your money actually goes to the creators that you want it to go to and not to the man. I think Jenna missed the top of the show, so, or maybe you didn't. As I mentioned, that's not what this is about, but if that's what you want, if that makes you not even want to listen to this conversation, that's totally up to you. Jake, love that you left a stream that you were on to come watch this. You are great. Thank you for being here. Okay, so for those of you guys who do not know, this has been an ongoing, months-long class action lawsuit that Sarah Silverman is a part of, but she's one of many authors. Ta-Nehisi Coates is another notable figure that is also part of this, but there's many. You guys, we will go over all of it, but they are investigating whether or not it is you need to be paid / it is legal for you to be AI to be taking data from books, like Sarah Silverman has claimed was done with her book, and using that data from books, if that is a copyright infringement when you are talking about an AI. And there are certain things that make something a copyright infringement. There's like 6 different parts of it. Whether this is against public display rights, there's certain things that they're looking for that lawyers could explain much better than I can. But as a person who is an artist, who is a content consumer, I have been extremely curious how AI is going to change the landscape and very nervous about it. We just saw this with the writer's strike. We saw this with the actor's strike. We are seeing this across many different industries. Of course, right now, AI is a major hot topic issue. But in the entertainment industry, it's like every room I walk into, people are talking about AI, what we're going to do about AI. And while unions are able to protect their artists to certain extents, not fully, there's nobody who can stop AI. And essentially, we've created something that will take many people's jobs in the future. And I don't know that there's anything we can do about it. But what we can do is get people paid for the work that they do. And what we can do is try to implement certain rules and regulations now as technology continues to develop. On Sarah Silverman's show a few months ago, I remember her speaking about and comparing this to sampling of music, right? There was a time in which artists did not sample each other's music. When they started to sample each other's music, there were questions about, is that legal? Can you do that? Who needs to be paid? How much do they need to be paid? And then you create rules and regulations in industries to make sure that the people who are creating things are the ones who are profiting off of things. And tech is an extremely useful tool, but it's a tool that we need to create laws and regulations around so that we don't end up with people without jobs or income or the ability to create art or real art in general. Now, also, I am concerned about AI completely demoing what the ability, an artist's ability to create in general, if people will even give a shit if something is AI generated or generated by a person. Now, for me, I am always intrigued by what a human being is able to do, more so than what a machine is able to do. But sometimes when AI is so good, I don't know that even I can tell the difference. So it's something that we haven't touched upon on the show too much, except for during the strikes. And it's a topic that I wanted to bring up tonight because of the ruling that came to be. So let's talk about it. This was a THR article that came out tonight or today. Another thing bone I have to pick with, not just THR, but all the companies. Sometimes reading these headlines, it's like very confusing to sort out. This headline reads, Sarah Silverman, authors see most claims against OpenAI dismissed by judge. I got there, but it's very complicated. Okay. The orders build upon findings from other courts, which have mostly dismissed claims from creators suing AI companies. A claim for direct copyright infringement remains in the suit from Silverman and other top authors suing OpenAI. This is by Winston Cho. Thank you, Winston Cho from Hollywood Reporter, breaking this down for us. Before I get to this, going to Super Chat and Streamlab, like I said, don't forget Streamlabs. I know it's one extra step for you guys to head over there, but it is the way that creators get the money that you are trying to support them with, as opposed to super chat where I get about 50% and Google, the man, takes the other 50%. Although, thank you so much for supporting over there. I shall take it. Yesterday, Lloyd Nance said, Roxanne, Team Stryer, thank you so much for that. Streamlabs, Lloyd, appreciate you. Today in the super chat, we have Cinema Fan who says, I'm a believer now, saw a UFO with my own two eyes. Have so many follow-up questions for you. Not what we're talking about this second, but please let us know. And I can't wait to talk about that later on in the show. J-Dog says, AI is set to replace personalities on music radio. I understand why that would be the case. I just feel like we need to implement rules and regulations to make sure it's not, because otherwise we're going to end up in a situation in which there are hundreds of thousands of people out of work that were born to be creators that now don't have that ability to do that and make a living, which is an effing nightmare. Okay, so going to what this article says, for those of you guys who haven't been following the case, this gives a little bit of a recap and then also where we're at as of today. Federal judge has dismissed most of a lawsuit brought by Sarah Silverman, Ta-Nehisi Coates, and other authors against OpenAI over the use of copyrighted books to train its generative AI chatbot, marking another ruling from a court questioning core theories of liability advanced by creators in the multi-front legal battle. So important to note in this is a multi-front legal battle. This was not the loss that is all losses and there will never be a win. This is one part of it, but it's certainly not, of course, what they were looking for. And this is specifically against OpenAI and the use of copyrighted books. U.S. District Judge Araceli Martinez Olgian, in an order issued on February 12th, refused to allow claims for vicarious copyright infringement. Or allow claims for vicarious copyright infringement, negligence, and unjust enrichment to proceed against the Sam Altman-led firm. Following in the footsteps of another judge overseeing an identical suit against Meta, which I believe Silverman was also part of, Martinez Olgian rejected one of the author's main claims that every answer generated by OpenAI's ChatGPT is an infringing work made possible only by information extracted from copyrighted material. So people are claiming they're using their books in order to generate answers, and that's how they were trained, but then they're not paying where they got their source material, and this ruled against that. The authors failed to cite, quote, any particular output that is substantially similar or similar at all to their books, end quote. The court explained they were given leave to amend, meaning that they will have another chance to refile the suit. The claim for violation of California's unfair competition law was permitted to advance under the theory that the company's use of copyrighted works to train its AI model for profit constitutes an unfair business practice. So they were given another chance to refile the suit. And I'm sure that is what they're intending on doing. I'm sure they have unbelievable lawyers working on this that are trying to make it so that this battle is not just being battled on behalf of Sarah Silverman or Ta-Nehisi Coates or any of the people that are more notable names, but for everybody, because they can take me, you, PLD, Logic Blaster, J-Dog, Jeremy Miller, Jake Yacovetta, Cinema Man, Sam Rhett, any one of us right now. They can just take it, use it, train it, put it out. But the authors failed to cite any particular output that's substantially similar or similar at all, which I kind of have a hard time believing. Like, how do we even define similar when similar is not exact? The ruling builds upon findings from two other judges, also in the Northern District of California, who expressed skepticism as to whether creators can substantiate fundamental contentions in their suits in the absence of evidence of the AI tools generating answers that appear substantially similar to the works they allege to infringe upon. Again, that word similar. How does one... Similar to what extent? In a case between artists and AI art generators, U.S. District Judge William Orrick called the allegations defective in numerous respects. So that's specifically speaking about AI art generators. Again, this is not so now right now we're talking about authors and books and them learning from the books and then regurgitating that information. What the previous copyright infringement was about the AI art generators, which we've been seeing everywhere, and how they're training their art systems. The litigation could decide whether AI firms are forced to license the material they use to train their chatbots, as well as the fate of their tech. Some of the suits seek a court order that would require the companies to destroy their AI systems. So I think there could be a lot of potential outcomes, and people are looking for different things. On the most minimal end of this, it seems like what people want is if you are using their work to train your AI or to get resources for your AI, then you need to pay the creator or owner of that material. So if you are using a book of mine to train your AI, then when you are doing that, I need to make an income off of that. But the other part of this is that it would require one possible outcome. It would require the companies to destroy their AI systems. I just don't see that happening because it does seem like AI is the way of the future in a lot of different ways. Have we ever in the past just been able to stop technology dead in its tracks? I can't think of a time in which we were able to say that technological advancement is not something we are willing to put up with, and therefore you must destroy it. I don't know that as a society we could do that, or that a judge would even have that within their power to control. I don't know that it's possible. Among the most contentious issues is whether authors need to prove substantial similarity, the test used to determine whether a party has infringed on an existing copyright through a comparison of the works at issue. The authors maintain they do not need to because they are arguing that OpenAI directly copied their books to train its AI system. I wonder how they would have awareness of that. Like, how does an artist know that their book was used in order to train that AI system? I am not well versed enough in this to know how one would know which books were used and which ones were not. In Monday's ruling, so yesterday, the judge sided with OpenAI and dismissed a claim for various copyright infringement, meaning that the company knew about the alleged infringement and benefited from it. In the absence of allegations that ChatGPT's answer contained direct copies of the copyright books through snippets or experts, she found that there must be a showing of substantial similarity between the chatbot's output and the material allegedly used to train the AI system. Similarity. What is, I mean, I'm not even kidding you. Like I'm about to give a bad wedding speech. I guess I'm about to Webster define similar. What is, like, is there a legal definition of similar? If I'm in a jean jacket and somebody else is in a jean jacket, not similar. But if that jean jacket is a certain brand, is it similar? The Oxford language definition of similar is resembling without being identical. I feel like it'd be so unbelievably easy to prove that it is similar if that is the definition, but that must not be the definition. So I wish that the judge would, or I wish that THR would, if they were able to in this article, define what it is that the judge believes, or has that not been defined, and it's up to the judge's discretion. Plaintiff's allegation that every output of the OpenAI language models is an infringement derivative work is insufficient, the judge wrote. Okay, so possibly the way that they were going about this was they weren't giving specifics. They were saying it's every one. And the judge is like, yeah, but which ones in particular? And I understand the instinct to just say it's all of them, because we know that AI had to be trained using movies, television, real art, books. That's how AI is trained. Human beings as well. We know that people were being offered jobs to train AI. So if the people who are being offered jobs to train AI are getting paid, shouldn't the material that they're using be paid? Logic Blaster in the super chat says, I feel like impersonation will fall under fair use rights. So whether it's done by a person or a computer will be protected. It's possible. I mean, we're going to see how far they're able to push this. I don't know that it's fair use. I mean, because right now, all they're saying they have to do is prove that it's similar, and that would be problematic. So impersonation is similar, but obviously impersonation does fall under fair use. So interesting point. I'm not quite sure. Not a lawyer, just very, very intrigued by this. A claim for the violation of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act for removal of information, such as the title, author, or term and condition for use of a work, was similarly not allowed to proceed. The court concluded that there's no evidence showing that OpenAI intentionally removed such information, rebuffing arguments that the company intentionally designed its training process to obfuscate. What is obfuscate? You guys tell me. Infringement. So it sounds like when it came to the art, judges were like, no, not infringement. When it came to Digital Millennial Copyright Act for removal of information, the judges were like, no issue. So far with the authors, no issue. This seems like a losing battle so far. Quote, plaintiffs allege that by design, defendants remove CMI from the copyrighted books used during the training process. However, plaintiffs provide no facts supporting the assertion. Indeed, the complaints include experts of ChatGPT outputs that include multiple references to plaintiffs' names, suggesting that OpenAI did not remove all references to the name of the author. So probably they said they've removed all of them, and then they see that they have not removed all of them, and therefore that negates them saying that they've removed all of them as opposed to they've removed many of them. And then they need to provide actual substantial information and facts on this. Claims for negligence and unjust enrichment were also dismissed. The judge found that OpenAI did not have a duty to safeguard authors' works and that the suit failed to properly argue that the company benefited from fraud. It's so crazy to me because if you're not deeming this to be fraud, then of course you don't think they benefited from fraud. But in what way is OpenAI not borrowing from real work? You know? And I've done a lot of research into AI and I know its shortcomings and I do know its strengths. And I know that AI is not what just the average person on the street believe it to be, but it is still ever growing, ever expanding. And why I think it's important to put these things into place right now is because before this becomes a monstrosity, a huge issue, we do need laws and regulations against what you are and what you are not allowed to do as a company using other people's material, because this is new technology, not new as in the last 5 years, but new as in the last couple of decades. And there is not regulations around this as of this point. So okay, continuing. And by the way, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, super chat in, send in your support, questions, comments, concerns, thoughts about AI, what artists should do, what you think the judge should have done in this scenario. If you think there will be traction on this, you could be my first Streamlabser of the day. We've gotten several super chatters, but remember, Streamlabs is always preferable for the artist, as we are talking about artist strikes during this time. Otherwise, Google takes 50%. Go over to Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, support the show. I'm only able to be here for as long as you guys allow me to, so thank you for doing so. Okay. Plaintiffs allege that by design, defendants remove CMI. Okay, we read. So claims for negligence and unjust enrichment were also dismissed. Benefited from fraud. Okay. OpenAI, however, will have to face a claim for unfair competition under the theory that it used copyrighted books to train ChatGPT without permission or compensation. Quote, assuming the truth of plaintiffs' allegations, the defendants used plaintiffs' copyrighted works to train their language models for commercial profit. The court concludes that defendants' conduct may constitute an unfair practice. So I think what they're saying here is that if they were used to train them for profit, then those, whatever that works was, would need to be paid, but it wouldn't just be, it wouldn't be because it's similar. It's because that was what they used to train it. Although OpenAI did not raise the defense, the court noted that the claim may be preempted by the Copyright Act. In a win for artists suing AI art generators, a federal judge found that the companies cannot avail themselves for a First Amendment defense arising under a California statute allowing for the early dismissal of claims intended to chill free speech. Let's do that one again. In a win for the artists suing AI art generators, so previous case that we were talking about, federal judge found the companies cannot avail themselves for a First Amendment defense. They can't avail themselves for the First Amendment defense arising under a California statute allowing for the early dismissal of claims intended to chill free speech. Let's see what that one was about. I'm super curious because that doesn't sound like a win. AI companies take hit, as judge says. So this was back a few days ago. AI companies take hit, as judge says, artists have public interest in pursuing lawsuits. So a federal judge rejected arguments from Stability AI, Midjourney, and DeviantArt that the suit is intended to suppress its free speech. Okay, so they were claiming that this was to suppress their free speech, and the judge says that that's not accurate, I guess. Artists have secured a small but meaningful win in their lawsuit against generative AI art generators in what's considered the leading case over the uncompensated, unauthorized use of billions of images downloaded from the internet to train AI systems. A federal judge refused to acknowledge that the companies can avail themselves of free speech protections and stated that the case is in the public interest. Okay, so those companies were trying to say free speech you can't come after us, and the judge said, sorry, this is in public interest. Makes sense to me. U.S. District Judge William Orrick, in an order issued on Thursday night, so this was a few days ago, rebuffed arguments from Stability AI, Midjourney, and Stability AI, they wrote that twice, they're entitled to a First Amendment defense arising under a California statute allowing for the early dismissal of claims intended to chill free speech. They had argued that the suit targets their speech because the creation of art reflecting new ideas and concepts, like those conveyed in text, prompts to elicit hyper-realistic graphics. It's constitutionally protected activity. I just feel like people don't really understand what free speech entails anymore, because I don't understand how using somebody else's art to then create your art would restrict your free speech if you couldn't use that person's art. That's kind of crazy to me. Makes sense why the judge ruled against this. What do you guys think? Now, talking about how this affects all of us individually and what we're thinking and what we're hoping and what we believe will happen here. Is this something you guys are even paying attention to? Are you like, this is being blown completely out of proportion, out of there's no point in us stressing about this. What will be is, it won't be that bad. This won't affect people's lives. This isn't going to take jobs. Or are you on the other side of this where it's like, this is really fucking bad. We have to pay attention to this. AI is extremely scary. It will be coming for people's jobs. And while it is not a perfect technology yet, it is being used in a way that is already destroying different career paths and art. Or are you somewhere in the middle? Again, it's not usually the kind of thing that I talk about on the show, although we talk about the entertainment industry here, of course, but I'm finding this is relevant in many different areas of my life. I'm finding this is relevant. I have a couple of different jobs where I manage interns, and interns are using ChatGPT, whether you ask them to or not, whether you say do not, whether you want them to learn skills. They do not know how to do certain things because they are just using AI. Same thing with, I was talking to a teacher friend of mine the other day, and she is a middle school teacher, and she told me that this is very normal now. She is sending kids to high school who do not know how to write sentences, don't know how to write them. They know how to, into a phone, generate thoughts and have it write sentences for them, but they do not know what a comma, where a period goes, what is a complete sentence. They know thoughts, and then they have something else generate that into sentence form for them. That's freaky to me. This is all relevant to the AI issue because what we do allow and how we use AI is it's permeating through our entire society, the entertainment industry, our education system, politics, every industry. Now, at the same time, I think that I am a realist in the sense that as I said earlier in the stream, I don't believe that we can just sit here and say, put a ban on AI, let's just eliminate technology. It's never worked on anything in the past, and anything that our grandparents, our parents have said, no, cell phones are killing this, and technology is killing this, and the TV will kill this. We have embraced with open arms for the most part, although I do think that it is possible that social media might have not been the best idea that we ever came up with. But if we are to embrace this, we need to embrace this in a way that it doesn't eliminate an entire classification of jobs for future generations. And we need to implement this in a way in which people are being compensated for their work when their work is being used and there's still work to even be had. So I'm looking at you guys in the chat. It seems like everybody believes that this is worth talking about. And I'm not sure that I'm seeing any possible solutions. Of course, we are not the ones who need to come up with the solutions, but it is worth strategizing about to even see what it is we believe should happen. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Thank you so much for the support so far tonight and night. Our first Streamlabs of the day. Thank you so much to Eric Lane. He said, "Hey Roxy, you are amazing. I bought Always Lola. Looking forward to Fish Kill watching it." What is Fish Kill watching it? Stay sassy. Thank you, Eric. Really appreciate it. Always Lola is my movie that came out in November that I shot a couple of years ago that I love. I will give you guys updates on my movies if you want them. Let me know. I give Grammy updates on my movies today too. We had to take her to get blood. Took her to get blood drawn today because we are checking in to see if her hemoglobins have risen after she had the ulcer. And fingers crossed on that. We have the results and everything being interpreted for us next week. But then we went to get Chinese food and we were talking about everything. And she was like, okay, run down the movies for me again. You filmed what? What haven't you filmed? What have you been cast? And what's going on? So if you guys want me to give you a update on that, like I did for Grammy, happy to. Super curious still about your thoughts on AI though, and would love the support in Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, as we continue to talk about the AI issue. And it's something that I know when I started talking about Free Britney to you guys on this show, it was kind of slow. And then we were talking about it every week. I have a feeling that this is going to be very similar, where I'm kind of introducing the topic. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think this is going to be more and more prevalent in our society as the days, weeks, months, years go on. And yeah, continue to rack your brain, think about how it is that you would like to implement AI into your life and how it is you would like to interact with AI, because we're all going to be asked that question. This, like how we were all asked, how do you want to implement social media into your life? How do you want to implement smartphones? How do you want to implement what is it? Apple Vision. Do you want to implement it at all? And we're all going to be asked that same question with AI. Sam says, I'm already tired of talking about AI. I know, I kind of am too, in some senses, but I think it matters. Also wanted to talk a little bit about this Russell Simmons lawsuit. I saw this popped up on my Hollywood Reporter, and I have to tell you guys, I was a little confused about it. The reason I was confused about it is I felt deja vu. The article said Russell Simmons sued by former Def Jam Recordings executive over alleged, this says R word, but assault. And I saw this and was like, didn't this already happen? And is this a new one? So I don't know if you guys remember, for the Tomorrow Show one time, I interviewed Russell Simmons for about 2 hours. And I'm going to go ahead and say that him and I fought for almost the entire time. I don't know if I've ever had an interview with somebody where everything I said, there was like no winning. There was one part in which I remember I said this was prior to the Trump election. Trump was going to be our next president of the United States because I did not think that our civilians would ever elect a woman. I'm not saying that the only reason Hillary Clinton lost is because she's a woman, but that's at the time what I was saying was that I just do not see this country electing a woman, and he lost it on me. Trump would never be president. I'm an absolute idiot for thinking that. Joke's on you. But I sat with him for a really long time. And then I remember the first thing came out about him, and that was years ago. So I saw this and saw that it was about somebody coming out about something from 25 years ago. I looked at social media. I immediately saw people who were saying, why now? Why now? And I just want to continue to shake the world and punch people in the face on social media. It's like, are you guys all morons that nobody understands why it takes a long time to come forward about certain assault situations or traumatic situations? Why that could be something that takes a very long time to come forward about? Are people's skulls seriously that thick that they don't understand? Is that humanly possible? It's like today, on another side of things, because I can't do a single show without talking about what's going on in the Middle East because it's controlling my entire life. I think I told you guys that my Palestinian step grandfather, or my grandmother's boyfriend of 30 years, they're not officially married, so I don't know what to call him, but you guys know, went back to Israel. I've been communicating almost on the daily with my grandma about him, and as she is preparing to go back as well soon. And it's very stressful and really upsetting. And every day, so fucking worried, and have a lot of friends and family with friends and friends with family there. And as you guys know on the show, I talk about all the time my beliefs on the Middle East and how unbelievably against Netanyahu and his unbelievably extremist right-wing regime I am, while also being completely against Hamas and all terrorism. And I posted this post that said, oh my God, people are just so effing nuts. Said, here's what people have been doing for the past 4 months that they shouldn't have been: celebrating October 7th, denying the reports of Israeli women being R-word on October 7th, dehumanizing Palestinians and making generalizations about innocent people in Gaza, referring to the IRI-backed Hamas as resistance, supporting and cheering on IRI-backed Houthis with no consideration for Yemeni lives. What's going on in Yemen is, I mean, if you haven't looked into who the Houthis are and what's happening in Yemen, and it has been for so long, is unbelievably upsetting and disturbing. But we know that that just because you're against the Israeli government does not mean that you are pro the Iranian government. Like, it is just unbelievable to believe that because you think the Israeli government is on the wrong side, that somehow the Iranian government is the savior of all, when we know that the Iranian government has been beheading and brutalizing people for not wearing, covering their hair, making up stories about people taking out eyes of theirs. It's just horrible. And they back the Houthis, which is why this mentioned that. Attacking and gaslighting those who share the realities of what their people are experiencing on the ground. Again, when I'm speaking to my family member there, when I'm speaking to Mati, he is on the ground there. How are you going to combat that? That's his experience when you are sitting comfortable in your Western civilization home and tell me that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Or my grandma doesn't know what she's talking about. It's just asinine the way that people believe that their experience from their living room in fucking New York somehow can compare to what's going on to people. But okay, so I posted that. Should be relatively, but I got so much heat because everybody says, because I posted that I'm pro-genocide, which is just an unbelievably ridiculous thing to say. Not one part of that as me being pro genocide. I don't even know how people can continue to say that to Jews. It is so disgusting, such disgusting language. But um I, I was anyway, I posted this whole long thing about it. I said on my social, I said, uh because somebody said to me that my team has been nonstop on a nonstop killing spree, which is like just you must not pay attention to anything I post. You must not watch any of my shows. You must not hear me in any way. And you just think because I'm Jewish that I'm a Netanyahu supporter. So it's just crazy. And this is why when people say they're not anti-Zionist, when people say they're anti-Zionist and not anti-Semitic, many people who say that are anti-Semitic because they don't know the effing difference. And when you conflate these two things, then you are the reason why people believe that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, because you do not know the difference, because you are saying my team, which is disgusting, just disgusting. So anyway, I said I get dozens of DMs like this a day, which I do, and dozens is the low end of the spectrum, especially when I post things. I get hundreds. Unbelievably disgusting that anyone refers to this as teams. This is not a sport. These are real humans, real lives. My family, my friends' families, strangers, humans, every person who dies who's not a terrorist is an absolute travesty. I wanted to just say every person who dies is a travesty, but honestly, if you are a person who, if I don't feel bad that you died if you're a terrorist, I don't. But anybody who's a civilian, of course, it's a travesty, a disgusting display of a lack of humanity that we have not been able to figure this out is revolting. It's 2024. Why are mass civilians dying? Okay. If you view this as teams, I'm on team human life. I'm against team terrorism. I'm against right-wing extremism. If you're viewing this like the Super Bowl, you're the one who needs to check yourself. Am I not allowed to grieve the hostages because it doesn't fit your narrative that I also care about the innocent civilians in Gaza? Am I not allowed to grieve the hostages? Am I not allowed to grieve them? Disgusting. And when you conflate Judaism with Zionism, you further prove that most anti-Zionists are anti-Semitic, because to them, there clearly is no difference. My team, comments like this make me sick and continue to remind me that when it comes to Jews, whether we want to be or not, the world believes we are on the opposing team and they must beat us. We make up less than 0.25% of the entire population, not even an entire percent, 0.25% of the entire population, less than that. Why are you so threatened by me, an American Jew who is mourning what's happening in the world, that you cannot see the real enemies? So that is what I posted. And this is the first response that I got back to that in my DMs. This was the first response I got from a woman whose bio says, just being me, don't live in the past, always look to the future, with a peace sign in her hands. This woman wrote to me, Roxy, you are a disgusting, vile racist who has been cheerleading the vile and barbaric IDF as it commits a genocide. You don't consider Palestinians as equals. If you had any decency, you would speak out against the occupation of Palestine and the ongoing genocide. How are you going to tell me that that person is not anti-Semitic? Because they're clearly sending me that message because I'm a Jew, and clearly not sending me that message because they listen to any of the words that I'm saying. Because if they did, how could they call me a cheerleader for the barbaric IDF? How could they say that I don't consider Palestinians as equals? How could they say that I'm a disgusting, vile racist? And it's frustrating to me because I can continue to shout from the rooftops and it will not matter, because people have already decided they know how I feel more than what I'm saying. And they believe that they have a read on me that is inaccurate based on whatever their preconceived notions about me existing is. Frustrating. Frustrating. Anyway, not relevant to the first part of the conversation, but that is where I tend to go on this show. Not going to be here that much longer. Streamlabs.com/RoxyStryer. Okay. That's where we went. Let me know any Eric Lane, our sole Streamlabser of the day. Thank you. Thank you. Let me know if you guys have any other things you would like to talk about, including AI, the Russell Simmons lawsuit, what is going on in the Middle East, the fucking travesty that is taking place, that for some reason people have decided that I am pro. I don't even know what the right word is. Or True Detective, which I'm watching, and I actually thought the most recent episode was bomb.com. What an abrupt transition. But best episode of this season so far, I think. It's not as good as Fargo this season, but it is very good still. Okay. And now let me tell you guys what I thought about Madam Web. Buried underneath all of these other things. Let's talk about Madam Web. Here we go. And again, send in that support. A 5, a 10, a 20. If you're having an amazing month, that hundy, every dollar means the world and makes the show continue. I'm not able to do this show as much anymore because it doesn't, it's not as lucrative as it used to be. But the more support I get, the more often I'm able to be here. Same thing with all my Patreon. Appreciate you guys who are over there. You are unbelievable. And thank you for the amazing community that is the rock stars. So I saw Madam Web. To give you guys a little background information on this, Madam Web was a screening on a Monday at 11 a.m. And it was at a theater that screenings typically are not at a time that screenings typically are not during. And there were no plus ones. It's never a very good sign. We went to the movie. I went because couldn't bring plus one. I went in thinking it was going to be absolutely horrible because I had heard that it was going to be absolutely horrible. This is the review that my brother texted me that Rolling Stone put out. This is how much people didn't like this. Rolling Stone said, Madam Web isn't as bad as its somewhat botched promotional campaign might suggest. It is, in fact, way worse. A genuine Chernobyl-level disaster that seems to get exponentially more radioactive as it goes along. This detour to one of the dustier corners of Marvel's content farm is a dead end from start to finish. It is the Cats, the movie of superhero movies. Not a single decision seems of sound mind. Not a single performance feels in sync with the material. Not a single line reading feels as if it hasn't somehow been magically auto-tuned to subtract emotion and or inflection. The sole amazing factor of the Spider spin-off is that someone somewhere actually signed off on actually releasing it. A showgirls of comic book cinema. Let me say, I think that this is absolutely not true. This review drags this movie in a way that I have not seen many reviews drag movies. I think that the movie is not great. And that's about it. I think Dakota Johnson's really endearing. I like her a lot. I like the other 3 actresses. The one of them who was in Freaky that I just watched, thought she was very good. Sydney Sweeney, this is my least favorite of her roles. Usually I think she's amazing. In this, she plays somebody who's kind of like more of the loser of the group. That's not her. She's one of the hottest stars on the planet right now. So that didn't work. The villain does not work. Just straight up does not work. It was the villain situation was really bad, bad. They're barely in the costumes. There's not that much fighting, and it's not that exciting. That being said, I didn't find this to be unwatchable. I found it to be, when Dakota's on the screen, I really like her. I like Adam Scott. I like some of the dynamics in it. I think that Like, I don't know why this is getting shredded so much more than Morbius, or shredded so much more than some of the Venom scenes. I think this is the Sonyverse Spidey movies are not for the people. I don't know how these do get greenlit. I feel like if you had any comic book fans in the room, they would have said a Madam Web movie. This doesn't make any sense for it. But I'm upset about all of these reviews because they are so mean and so aggressive that it's kind of just like, it was not good, but it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. Relax, people. Truly. Who's going to see this? Who isn't? Ask me if you have follow-up questions. Here for just a couple more minutes. So Streamlabs in, Super Chat in. Get in your support, questions, comments, concerns. Let me know that you want me to continue being here live at the Roxy. Maybe some of the hate will encourage people to go and make up their mind for themselves. What is it that I know? It was not unwatchable. There were moments that I giggled. There's a joke in there about Martha Stewart that I thought was very funny. That's kind of my full extent of the review. It didn't piss me off. I didn't walk out and think like, F that. That was, oh my God, I hate it here. I was just like, wow, okay, that was not great. And that's fine. Sometimes movies don't land. But the way people are dragging this, it's like, I don't know, I get it. Your critic, it's your job. But to say this is Chernobyl level radioactive is like crazy. Now to answer your question, I loved Coda. I loved Peanut Butter Falcon. I don't know if we can gauge how she is an actress in 50 Shades. I just think she's very natural and subtle. There's a lot of ADR in this movie. So sometimes that's a little jarring from her, but that's not her fault per se. All right, y'all. Well, thank you to Logic Blaster, J Dog, and Cinema Fan for the 3 super chats, and to Eric Lane for that 1 Streamlabs. I appreciate you guys for being here for the late night show. I guess maybe this isn't a good time to do it for y'all. Maybe we go back to daytime. Got to figure it out, y'all. But I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you talking about this AI situation. If you're watching this after the fact, leave in the comments what your thoughts are. What should we do about the AI situation? As artists, as society, is this affected you yet? How do you think that it will affect you? Stay safe, stay sane, put down the toilet seat and the lid. We don't want those flumes. Don't trend with the Holocaust. Justice for all of the people who have lost their lives due to excessive force. All of the people. We stand with the women of Iran, some of the bravest women we've ever seen, and all of the men who stand with those women too, who are losing their eyes and their heads for standing by and supporting women. Horrible. Horrible. Golden sparkles for Glenn himself. Thinking about you, buddy. And again, special shout out to Cinema Fan, J Dog, Logic Blaster, and Eric Lane and Lloyd Nance from yesterday. You guys are the real ones. Everybody in here, I really appreciate that. Thank you for just being here. I know times are tough for many. A special shout out to those who give that little extra something, and to all my patrons too. Love you guys lots. Okay, see you soon. Much love. Later.